Hello guys, Pete, N6QW here. First test of the Simpleceiver, Transceiver. And just let me review here a little bit of what we got. This here is the Microphone Amplifier, and it's just a single 2N3904. And that's fed into the ADE1, which is on receive is the product detector, on transmit is the balance modulator. Here's our IF block, which has a pair of amplifiers that have two J310s and has a 12.096 megahertz crystal filter. And this right here is an SBL1, which on receive is the receive mixer. On transmit is the transmit mixer. We have a bandpass filter, and I have the output of the bandpass filter terminated in 50 ohms. So we've just peaked up the bandpass filter, and we're using an Arduino, and right now I got it tuned about 7200. And the receiver over here is a Ten-Tech Omni 6 Plus, and it's tuned to 7200. And if you look up on the scope here, we're going to take a look at the scope pattern a little bit. And right now that's with no modulation. And here we are, November 6, Quebec Whiskey, Norway 6, Queen Willie. That's about 184 millivolts. Let me just check that. Hello, hello. Hitting maybe 160, 170 millivolts peak to peak coming out of that filter. So we're listening to it on a separate receiver here, and you can take a listen. With just a short piece of wire that we're using for the antenna. Let me just put this on 10 hertz, and we'll tune around a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're about 72, 20, which the Omni 6 is tuned to. So you can see the scope pattern up here, and hopefully you can see that we got plenty of modulation coming out of this. So this concept does work. This is the two little relays in here. On receive, the signal passes through this way, and on transmit we reverse the signal so that it passes through in the same direction. And this concept works pretty good. So you can see the scope pattern, and we're not hitting it too hard. Single transistor amplifier, and I do have an amplified mic on here with hardly any gain. And there's we can see we're flat topping, and there we are. We'll cut back the gain on the amplified mic, and the scope patterns looking pretty good on the peak envelope power. So we're hitting about 184 now. What I plan to do is have a bidirectional stage following the bandpass filter, and I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to do the same thing that I did on the IF amplifier block. I'm going to get two more relays, and I'm going to change the direction of the signal so that on receive it will pass through the same one direction, and on transmit we just switch the inputs and outputs so it passes through the same direction. So anyway, this is N6QW. I'm going to try switching to, this is lower sideband. I'm going to try switching to upper sideband here. Now I'm going to have to retune the rig a little bit to get it back on frequency because of the way I set this thing up. Hold on one here. N6, hold on. Too much. Hello, test 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, test 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is telling me that probably the upper sideband frequency needs a little adjustment. I'll have to go into the sketch and change the because it's just off the filter frequency a little bit. So this is a good way to check it. And you can see that right here is just off a little bit, but on lower sideband it works fine. So I got the right lower sideband frequency in there. I need to change the upper sideband frequency, and you can see that there's it's pretty narrow. So we're off the filter somewhat. So I'm going to change it back to lower sideband here, and we'll continue running our test. This N6QW. This is N6QW LO test, and you can see it sounds a lot better on lower sideband. So I have the frequency dialed in for lower sideband. This is a good test with an external receiver, and so I need to go back in and fine-tune the upper sideband frequency. So anyway, N6QW, again by way of review, this is the Simpleceiver first transmission on single sideband, and essentially we've just taken the superhead and added a microphone amplifier, some relay switching here on the IF amplifier block, and just powered up the right circuit. So not a lot to convert this to a single sideband transceiver. I know you'd be excited to see this. So again, there's our scope pattern. As you can see there, getting a nice peak, and you can see the from where the signal is, the carrier suppression is pretty good. So anyway, this is Pete, N6QW, and thank you for riding along, and stay tuned because I'll put the little relays in there, and then we'll be able to maybe even power a little QRP 300 milliwatt board and see if we can put that on 40 meters. I need to build a low pass filter. So two more elements needed to really put this on as a transceiver is the driver stage and a low pass filter. So we're really close. This is N6QW, 7 3s.